Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. This is the basics of exercise, part number 4, neuromotor training or functional training as it's more commonly heard. Starting the live video a little bit early, a couple minutes early, so if you're viewing this later in the day on Facebook or YouTube, I'll start around the 1:30, 2-minute mark with the talk. Just giving people some time to come live, check in. And this will be the 4th and final part of the basics of exercise workshop. Hopefully, if you've been tuning in or viewing these parts of the workshop, hopefully they've been helping you. Hopefully they've been educating you about what to include in your at-home routine or how to structure your at-home routine. So hopefully you get a lot out of this workshop. Again, today is the 4th and final part. Neuromuscular or neuromotor training or functional training as it's more commonly heard as. And if you've been watching the previous parts, you've noticed I had a change of scenery here. I'm not at the front desk, I'm actually inside the studio because I'll be doing a couple of demos and examples of what I'll be talking about today. So we'll get started in a little bit. Let me just make sure I got my notes and everything ready. Okay. All right. Well, team, good evening, good afternoon, whatever you want to call it. I'm Coach Ryan. Again, this is part 4 of the basics of exercise. Again, today's focus will be neuromotor training. And it will be functional training. Again, that is the term that is more commonly heard. Couple things. Again, as with all the previous workshops, if you have any questions, if you're viewing this live, save them for at the end of the workshop and I will get to them. Hopefully I'll answer your questions as I go along throughout this talk and discussion. So first, as I've talked about cardio, resistance training, flexibility, I always start with the definition. So what is neuromotor training? And it's exercise and movement training that incorporates a range of motor skills, including, which I will define in a little bit, balance, coordination, agility, gait, and proprioception. All of these things make up neuromuscular training, or what's more commonly heard as functional fitness. That's kind of the hot button topic. So, like I said, I will define real quick all those things: balance, coordination, agility, etc. What is balance? Again, I'll go through these definitions, but you probably know a lot of them. Balance, the maintenance of a position without moving for a given period of time, affected by visual feedback, audio feedback, and proprioception. Big word, all right? We have receptors in our ears and things like that that help us with balance. Coordination, control over acceleration, velocity, and multi-directional skills. So a lot of the at-home workouts that we've been doing lately, throughout we worked this uncomfortable period, we've been working on agility, if you didn't know it, all right? And some of the drills that you've been doing with these at-home workouts have been working on that. Everybody has the inner athlete in them. Agility, an athlete's collective coordinative abilities or technical skills used to perform motor tasks. Reactiveness, rhythm, balance, coordination, linear running, maneuverability, all those things make up agility. Gait, the natural movement pattern in walking or running. And throughout the at-home workouts, I'll go through a lot of what's a normal pattern whenever we move the arms, whatever leg comes up, opposite arm comes up, that's the normal gait pattern. Proprioception, communication between pressure and tension receptors in the joints, muscles, and tendons in the brain to promote a sense of the body parts with respect to gravity, basically the body's awareness in space. That's what proprioception is. Now, I just wanted to go through those definitions real quick just to kind of give you what I meant by what neuromotor training involves and functional fitness. Now, how do I do all that? What do I need to do in my routine? Now, why are those things important? First, it helps to improve your balance and reduce the risk of injury. It improves your muscle strength and improves your motor control. Those two things, team, improving muscle strength and motor control, that helps you in terms of being a better runner, being a better athlete, better performance in your workouts. That's why those two things are important, and improve quality of life. So you improve your balance, your coordination, your agility, how you walk, your posture. Those things will help to improve the quality of your daily life, your daily activities. So that's another reason why functional training or neuromotor training is important. Now, what are my options? How do I do it? Okay. Number one, as with all the workshops that I've done, this is taken care of inside of the Orange Theory Studio and with the OTF at-home workouts. So if you've been doing these workouts regularly, team, 2 to 3 days a week at least, you've had some neuromotor training inside of these workouts. And you'll see how in a little bit when I do a couple of demos. Okay. Those exercises, agility blocks inside the workouts, the balance blocks, cool down stretches when we're inside the studio. Anytime we use the Bosu ball, that's working on neuromotor or functional fitness. What you can also do, it doesn't have to be really involved, team. Okay, a nice controlled walk where you're focusing on good posture, good form and gait. That's another way that you can work on neuromotor training. A couple other examples: yoga, Tai Chi, paddleboarding. Those are a couple other quick examples of how you can improve neuromotor training or your functional fitness. Now, let's just say, all right, and I'm going to go to my demo station a little bit. That's why I'm in the studio. The nuts and bolts of this discussion: how do I incorporate neuromotor training or functional fitness in my at-home routine? Okay, we went through the definitions, we went through why it's important. Now, how do I do it? Okay, or how do I become more conscious in performing functional fitness or neuromuscular training? So I go through a couple things, team. And again, I'm inside the studio because I want to give a couple of concrete examples as I talk through. So one way you can work on neuromotor fitness or functional fitness and training is your base of support. Okay, so if you're a biomechanics, or even if you're a physics whiz, okay, or even if you are a football person, the wider your base of support, the wider you are, the more stable you are. So a way to challenge your base of support, your balance, is to narrow your base of support. How do we do that, team? Okay, a couple ways we can do that. Exercises going from the seated position or kneeling position to standing position. So one example that we do inside the Orange Theory at-home workouts and in the studio, the overhead press to stand, okay? As opposed to a standing press where I have both feet on the floor. I now am kneeling, one foot out in front, my knee is behind that foot, but that base of support, the space between my foot and my knee, is a little bit more narrow than what I would use standing. So that's one way to do it, okay? Another way, again, narrowing your feet in exercises. Again, the wider you are, the more stable you are. So a challenge to that is bringing your feet closer together. This can be done standing exercises. This can also be done in planking movements. If you are an Orange Theory professional, you know that we do a lot of planking movements. So in order to make that exercise a little bit tougher from the plank position, you can bring your feet closer together. Again, the more narrow you are, the more it is of a challenge to your balance and base of support. As an option, like coaches say, like you'll hear me say a lot, if your butt's coming up, if you're having trouble stabilizing your body, widen your base of support or widen your feet, okay? One stance that may not be as known or popular, but it is effective, is the tandem stance. So any exercise like curls, extensions, any exercise from the standing position, what you can use is the tandem stance, which is the heel to toe stance, where I take one foot, bring it directly behind the front foot, so toes are behind the heel, and immediately when I get to that stance, I start to wobble a little bit, and I start to engage my smaller stabilizer muscles on the outside of my leg, the muscles that are targeted by the mini band. So something as simple as that, team, can help to challenge your balance. All right? And then performing exercises on one leg. So an example that we do inside the studio and a lot of at-home workouts, standing bicep curl, but you can use that, okay, with any of the standing movements. One foot, again. The more narrow your base of support, the more it is of a challenge to your balance. Okay. Another way to add neuromotor training to your routine, okay, challenging your center of mass. So any exercise where it's unilateral, okay, unilateral meaning one side. One-sided exercise will help to challenge your center of mass, your center of gravity, making the exercise tougher and working on your neuromuscular or neuromotor training. So examples of this, and I need my bench. Examples of this, standing single arm shoulder presses for the shoulders, okay? Single arm bicep curl. You can even go down to a bench for single arm chest presses. What about the legs? Suitcase squat, where you hold one dumbbell on one side. Okay, again, this is a challenge. Okay, it is a challenge to your center of mass, your center of gravity. For example, the suitcase squat. The other side, my other side has to counterbalance the weight that's not there. My body is going to want to tip toward the weighted side. So the other side of my body has to work to resist rotation. Again, that will add a challenge or add to neuromotor training. Also, team, what about lunges? Right? Again, unilateral movement, one side. We do a lot of these inside of Orange Theory when working the legs. It's important not just to do the squat if you want to target the quads and glutes. Lunges are important, team. Why? Core challenge. Also, a lot of you runners out there, what is running? Okay? Running is probably the most unilateral activity or exercise that we do. So that's why it's important to include that in our training, because it will make you better as a runner. So that's why it's important to include that in your training routine. Visual feedback, okay? What you see, okay? Your environment can also challenge your neuromotor training, okay? Or functional fitness, okay? What's an easy way to challenge yourself? Closing your eyes, okay? Now, the progression, if you're doing an exercise, for example, let me grab my other dumbbell, for bicep curls. Progression, and I'm gonna get a little bit closer to the camera so you can see me. Progression, one eye closed, and then two. Even from a kneeling position, team, once I close my eyes, especially if you do exercises where you're standing, deadlifts, squats, closing your eyes will help to challenge your body's balance, okay? You shut your eyes, you will notice, team, that you'll start to lose your balance a little bit and your body has to adjust to that. That will help to make the exercises a little bit tougher that you do, and again, that will add to the neuromotor aspect of your training. Auditory feedback, what you hear, your environment can affect the way exercises are performed and can also be a way to challenge functional fitness or neuromotor training. What do I mean by that? What can you do? Changing your playlist. Maybe you're more of a hip hop person with your playlist. Maybe using a pop playlist or a jazz playlist. Personally, sometimes when I lift to do my resistance training routines, sometimes I don't lift to music. Sometimes I listen to sports talk radio or a motivational talk like a TED Talk while I do my resistance training. That different vibe really makes a huge difference in terms of the feel of the workout. Sometimes try working out in silence. I know that may be tough for a lot of you. Okay, when I do the Orange Theory at home workout videos, I don't have music playing. I'm working out in silence. It was a couple 1 or 2 day adjustment, but after that, my body started to adjust to working out in silence. It allows me to focus a little bit more when I don't have the music. Again, that's another variable team that you can play with in terms of your neuromuscular or neuromotor training. Working out in a different room, okay? Let's just say you have a particular workout room that you always work out in. Maybe switch the room. Switch your workout room for a couple sessions throughout your week. Work out outside, okay? You have porch, backyard, patio. Maybe bring your mat, bench and stuff, your objects outside and work out outside. All of that will affect how the workout feels, okay? So that's another way to challenge your functional fitness. Sensory feedback. So the surface that we exercise on is another way to really challenge our neuromotor fitness, or a way to challenge ourselves inside of a workout. What do I mean by this? The softer the surface, okay, the harder the routine will become. So what does that mean? Working out maybe on grass. If you have a mat, yoga mat, whatever, doing your routine on the mat. Bosu ball, right? A lot of the Orange Theory exercises, you'll see the Bosu ball come out. Kneeling on the ball, doing exercises while kneeling on the ball. Or if I want to do a Superman, having my belly or navel on the ball. Crunches, having my low back on the ball. So if you have a Bosu ball available to you, okay, that's another way to really challenge your functional fitness team. For leg work, single leg movements, so I can have a bang for my buck here. I can have 1 foot behind me on the Bosu ball, 1 leg out in front. So I'm working unilateral and I'm changing the surface. So that's a 2-for-1 special right there. If you have a Bosu ball, that's a good way to add some functional fitness to your routine. You may also notice the shoes that you see me wearing. Okay, these are the Vibram 5 finger shoes. Basically, it mimics being barefoot. Okay, when you're working out at home, I recommend at least taking a few sessions to where you're working out barefoot. Barefoot, okay, it adds a different feel to the workout. And also, being barefoot team, okay, will help to work the lower leg muscles. I remember the first time that I jumped rope in these shoes and my calves were sore for at least a week, okay? Shoes are great. However, a lot of shoes that are made, they make our bodies become lazy, basically. And the shoes will help to take away from some of the work that our lower leg muscles have to do. Okay, so if a workout has a lot of impact, okay, there's always low impact options for particular exercises like jump squats, burpees, etc., where you can take out the impact. But again, I recommend you take at least a few sessions. Try working out barefoot. Okay, if we have jump squats, if you're afraid of the impact, take it to a calf raise. Burpees, walking it down, feet up and down. You don't have to jump up or expose the feet down and back. Okay, that working out barefoot, again, it challenges your body because your lower leg muscles when you're barefoot are more active versus being in shoes. So that's another way to add functional fitness to your routine. Now, be safe when you make these adjustments. If you have questions about how to make these adjustments, team, or how should you progress, comment on the video, You can reach out to me or one of the other coaches separately, but make sure that you want to be smart and you want to be safe. So if you have any questions about what to do or how to add these type of things in your session, please feel free to reach out to one of us. Okay? Now, the frequency of when you should include functional fitness or neuromotor training in your routines. The research is variable on this team, so there's no specific recommendation or one universal recommendation. American College of Sports Medicine recommends that it is a staple in your routine, 2 to 3 days a week, 20 to 30 minutes per session. Now, making it a separate session can be difficult and sometimes unrealistic for most of us. So really, a good rule of thumb is you want to try to sprinkle in these principles inside of your resistance training routines and your flexibility. So including unilateral exercises, including exercises where you challenge yourself, narrowing your base of support, single-sided exercises, extra routines or some sessions where you're working out barefoot or working out on a yoga mat. Sometimes you're outside. Again, sprinkling these principles in your current routine will help to satisfy the requirement. And another point, I say it a lot, if you're doing the OTF at-home workouts regularly, at least 2 or 3 times a week, this stuff is already sprinkled into the routine. Flexibility sessions, how do you add it into your flexibility sessions? Stretching with your eyes closed, using a yoga mat, okay? No shoes, the environment, the music, where you stretch. There's a lot of different ways you can involve these principles in your stretching routine as well. So if you have any questions upon that, please let me know, comment on the video, or reach out to me separately or one of the other coaches. That team is all I have for that one. The bulk, the longer sessions were the cardio and resistance training, the shorter sessions of flexibility and the neuromotor training. Like I said, if you're performing the OTF at-home workouts regularly, okay, this stuff is already included in the routine. But if you're trying to program your own routine or you're trying to add some variety to your own routine, hopefully these few notes, few sessions, or a few words of advice will help you to add some variety to make your own routine a little bit more well-rounded. So I'll stick around for a little bit. If you have any questions, if you're watching live, you can comment. Again, this will be posted on our page after I get done with the live video, and it will be posted on YouTube within the hour. Hi, Tatiana. Hi, Jess. Hi, Allison. I think you three are the ones that are watching still. Okay, this was a shorter one. So I'll stick around for a little bit. I also have a trainer tip Tuesday to make in a little bit. So you're going to get a lot of YouTube in the next hour or two, team. So all right, everybody's pretty quiet who's still watching, so I'll wrap it up in a little bit. Like I said, if you have any questions, please comment on the video. If it's probably after the next hour, if you have a question that you just think about or pops up in your head, go comment on the YouTube page video, because I will see that notification a lot faster than the Facebook notification for comments. A lot of times the Facebook notifications will get buried because I get a lot of them. So if you have questions after I end this video, if you are watching it later, comment on the YouTube video. I will see that notification right away and a lot faster, because that one will stick out to me as I get it. Thank you if you watched this video, whether it's live or whether you watched it later in the day. Hopefully this basics of exercise workshop, all 4 parts, cardio, resistance training, flexibility, neuromotor training, hopefully all 4 of these parts helps you to understand the principles of designing your own at-home routine. And hopefully it answers some burning questions that you may have had, even if you are an exercise pro. Hopefully these sessions answered some questions that you may have had. Again, these will be posted on our page and on our YouTube page, OTF Williamsburg. So go subscribe there if you're not subscribed there. Thanks a lot, team. Again, hopefully this helped you out. Get ready for a Trainer Tip Tuesday video that will be coming directly to the YouTube page. Have a good night.